There comes a moment in a person's life when the world feels familiar, yet nothing feels the same. You walk through the same streets, talk to the same people, follow the same routines, but deep inside, a quiet shift begins. Something whispers, "This is not who you are anymore," and you don't know why this feeling arrived or where it wants to take you. You only know that life is trying to show you something you've been refusing to see. Carl Jung says these silent awakenings never begin with clarity. They begin with discomfort, a strange heaviness in your chest, a feeling of emotional distance from the people you once trusted, a sudden realization that you're acting, smiling, pretending, and no one can see the truth behind your eyes. You don't want to break down, but you can no longer hold everything inside. You don't want to lose people, but you feel yourself drifting away from them. And the most painful part is not knowing whether you're changing or simply falling apart. But what if this confusion is the beginning of your real life? Jung believed that the soul often speaks through suffering, not because it wants to punish you, but because pain is the only language you listen to deeply. You ignore the first signals. You ignore the second, but the soul is patient. It waits until one day it breaks the silence so loudly that you cannot escape it. Suddenly, memories surface. Old wounds reopen. Feelings you buried a decade ago rise with urgency. It feels like emotional chaos, but in reality, your unconscious is cleaning the room of your soul. Nothing is random, nothing is accidental. Nothing is meaningless. That sudden sadness that appears in the middle of the day, that irritation toward people you once tolerated, that emptiness you feel after achieving the things you once desired. These are not emotional failures. These are messages. Your unconscious is asking you to wake up. And here is the first hook. The people around you can sense your shift before you understand it yourself. Some will grow closer. Others will pull away. Some will become uncomfortable with your new awareness. You will start noticing things you could never see before. Subtle lies, hidden intentions, emotional manipulation, the truth behind smiles. And this new clarity isn't comfortable, but it is necessary for the person you're becoming. It begins gradually. Certain conversations feel heavy, as if your soul is rejecting words that don't align with your truth anymore. Certain friendships feel thinner, like threads that once held strong, but now break with a gentle pull. You start sensing a gap between who you are and who people expect you to be. This gap grows silently, and you feel guilty for wanting space, even though that space is the only place you can breathe. Jung says this is the stage where the persona, the mask you show the world, begins to crack. The version of you that always stayed quiet, always stayed agreeable, always stayed strong for others, slowly becomes impossible to maintain. The mask slips not because you are weak, but because you are becoming honest. And honesty has a way of breaking everything that was built on pretending. You may notice strange emotional patterns. One moment you feel deeply connected to yourself, and the next moment you feel completely lost. Thoughts run in circles. Your heart feels too full one day and too empty the next. You don't know whether you're healing or drowning. But Jung teaches that this internal shaking is the alignment of your inner and outer worlds. Everything that doesn't belong to your truth begins to fall away. You begin to see people clearly, their intentions, their energy, the emotional weight they place on you. You begin to sense when someone is lying, when someone is hiding something, when someone is using you. Your intuition becomes sharp, almost unsettling. You read between words, between silences, between gestures. And this new clarity becomes both your superpower and your burden. Others feel this change in you. They try to pull you back into your old identity. They remind you of who you used to be. They expect the same patterns, the same compliance, the same silence. But you can't return to that version anymore. Something in you refuses. And here comes the suspense. The more you awaken, the more the world around you begins to resist. Not because you're wrong, but because you no longer fit the expectations that kept you small. You are stepping into a truth that cannot be reversed. At this stage, the unconscious brings forward the parts of you that have remained hidden for years. Jung calls this the emergence of the shadow, not the darkness you should fear, but the pain you must understand. Inside your shadow lives every version of you that was silenced. The child who never felt heard, the teenager who swallowed emotions, the adult who kept choosing peace even when it hurt. These parts of you return not to harm you, but to free you. You begin questioning patterns you once repeated unconsciously. Why do you attract people who take more than they give? Why do you fear confrontation even when you're right? Why do you stay loyal to people who don't value you? Why do you minimize your emotions just to keep the peace? These questions feel uncomfortable, but they are the keys to your transformation. Jung says the moment you start asking why, the healing begins. Your mind becomes a battlefield of memories, some painful, some enlightening. You start connecting dots you didn't even know existed. You realize certain behaviors were survival strategies. Certain wounds shaped your personality. Certain relationships were reflections of your unhealed emotions. This realization may break you for a moment, but clarity always breaks before it builds. And then something unexpected happens. You start noticing signs, synchronicities, repeated numbers, dreams that feel too symbolic to ignore, sudden thoughts that feel like guidance, people entering or leaving your life at strangely perfect timing. Jung believed that when the inner world shifts, the outer world adjusts to it. Reality itself becomes a mirror. But here is the curiosity trigger. Every step you take toward your truth exposes someone else's lie. People who once praised you may begin to criticize you. People who felt comfortable with your silence may feel threatened by your voice. People who liked your weakness may dislike your strength. People who benefited from your boundaries being low may become uncomfortable when you raise them. This is the stage where life tests you, not to punish you, but to confirm your readiness. The world begins to rearrange itself according to your unspoken transformation. There comes a moment when you stop running. You stop explaining yourself. You stop chasing the people who keep you emotionally hungry. You stop proving your worth to people who cannot see it. And in that quiet moment, something inside you clicks. A shift, a settling, a realization. You are no longer the person who once accepted crumbs of affection. You are no longer the person who tolerated disrespect for the sake of belonging. You are no longer the person who dimmed their light to make others comfortable. You are evolving. Jung says that true transformation is not loud. It doesn't come with fireworks. It comes with a deep sense of inner certainty. A realization that your life is changing in ways others cannot understand. You begin feeling detached from old habits, old friendships, old expectations. Not out of anger, but out of clarity. You finally understand that most of your suffering came from forcing yourself into places that were too small for your soul. This is the rebirth. You no longer seek validation because you understand your worth without anyone approving it. You no longer fear loneliness because solitude has become your teacher. You no longer chase people because you know anything meant for you will stay effortlessly. And in this new energy, something magical happens. You attract people who understand your depth. Conversations become richer. Connections become real. Even your silence becomes meaningful. But here is the twist that keeps the audience watching. When you begin to heal, your old life begins to call you back. Not because it belongs to you, but because you have outgrown it. Old triggers return to test your strength. Old emotions resurface to confirm your growth. Old people reappear to see if you're still the same. This is not a setback. It is the universe asking, are you ready for the next chapter? You respond not with anger, but with wisdom. Not with fear, but with calm. Not with attachment, but with awareness. Your energy becomes your protection. Your intuition becomes your compass. Your authenticity becomes your strength. You begin to walk differently, speak differently, feel differently, and the world senses it. Some will admire this glow. Others will envy it, but none will be able to ignore it. You are becoming someone new and someone true. If you're hearing this right now, understand something important. Nothing in your journey has been a mistake. Every heartbreak, every confusion, every sleepless night, every moment where you felt lost, it all shaped the person you are becoming. Jung says the greatest privilege of life is to become who you truly are. That journey doesn't begin in comfort. It begins in chaos. You are not broken. You are unfolding. Your suffering didn't destroy you. It refined you. Your loneliness didn't weaken you. It strengthened you. Your confusion didn't drown you. It awakened you. You are entering a new stage of life, one where you no longer apologize for your sensitivity because you recognize it as intuition. You no longer hide your emotions because you understand their signals. You no longer fear endings because you finally realize their beginnings dressed in disguise. The pain that once made you question everything is now giving you direction. The wounds that once controlled your behavior are now becoming your wisdom. And the experiences that once broke you are now shaping your purpose. Take a breath and realize you survived everything that was meant to destroy you. You overcame everything you thought you never would. And now, you're rising. You are stepping into the most powerful version of yourself, a version that listens, feels, understands, and sees with depth. A version that chooses peace over chaos. A version that walks away from anything that disturbs your inner world. A version that loves without losing yourself. A version that stands alone without feeling lonely. Your awakening is here, and it's only the beginning. If these words reached you today, it means your soul has been calling for this moment. You are ready. You are aligned. You are stepping into your truth. And SYC Soul is here to walk beside you in this journey of transformation.